outside of law enforcement, are there past or recent examples of policy work, reports, and workshops related to online privacy that you can share with us today, please?
I'm drawing a blank right now, but maybe one of my colleagues could help me.
Just in the past year and a half, we actually have done 6 workshops and major policy efforts looking at privacy and data security, things from industry guidance. We did a student privacy and EdTech workshop. We did an informational injury workshop to explore the boundaries of the types of injuries consumers may suffer. We did an identity theft workshop, a connected cars workshop going to the Internet of Things. So I think we have done quite a bit in this space just in recent time, and that's just building on all the other years of work we've done in this area.
Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Phillips, does somebody else want to add something?
I was going to.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say the chairman also has announced a very ambitious set of hearings to begin this fall on a variety of issues, including those.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And we also, I would encourage you, our 2012 privacy report, as well as a later report on data brokers. Those two, I think, provide a real consensus roadmap on a lot of the initiatives that could be pursued on a bipartisan basis, in my view.
All right. Do you have anything to add? We're okay? All right,
I'm
let's
good.
go on to the next one then. Commissioner Phillips, do you believe American consumers fully comprehend exactly how much personal, health, and financial data is being collected on them? What can the FTC do to better educate consumers on data collection activity that industry is engaged on? I mean, you know, it's up to the individual, but they need to get all the facts. So if you could answer that, I'd appreciate it.
Thank you for that question. I think that's a really important one. I can't sit here and tell you that every individual fully comprehends the way which data are being collected, how those data are being used, or how those data, as Commissioner Chopra said earlier, are being shared. You're right to note that consumers have access to that information, and consumers also have certain expectations. For instance, you know, my ability to use an app, let's say, that guides me through traffic and tells me where the traffic jams are going to be. I know that it must have information about that traffic from drivers like me who are supplying it. That balance is a very important one, fostering the innovation as we want to do, and also helping to keep consumer understanding in line. I think that's going to be one of the biggest challenges that we face over all of our tenures. I know it's going to be a topic that we're going to be talking about in years to come, and we look forward to working with you on that.
Thank you. Yes, someone else wants to add, but would you recommend that the consumer assume that all their data, that particular data, would be collected when they make an informed decision as to whether they want to log in or log out, and a lot of times they don't have the opportunity to opt out?
Let me sort of start with the second one. I hope in my own life, and I hope that everyone in their own lives always make informed decisions. That's not always how we do things. I will admit to you that I have repeatedly in the last few weeks clicked on any number of accepts online. And now I've forgotten the first part of the question. I apologize.
I'll jump in.
Just, yeah, should I repeat the question?
If you don't mind.
Our consumer, would you recommend the consumer assume?
Yes, assume.
Yeah, assume that this data is collected on them.
The short answer is yes. As we engage with the digital economy, we derive tremendous benefits from that. Almost every minute of every day of our lives. And in many respects, we are sharing information, and so that is a pretty reasonable assumption.
That's pretty sad, though.
Yeah, would you like to add something?
I mean, it's pretty sad that we have to assume helplessness. Yeah. So I understand we may want to warn consumers that anything can be up for grabs, but that can really lower consumers' confidence in engaging online or engaging in spaces where they just think everything's going to be taken from them. So we have to make sure that we are also not scaring people from engaging in productive transactions for their lives, because they fear that someone's always spying on them. And this is why we have to put into place the right framework to protect privacy.
And from an enforcement perspective, it's our obligation to ensure that when companies represent to consumers that they are collecting data in a certain way or not collecting data in a certain way, that they're living up to those representations that they make. And that is an area under the current law where we can and do enforce.
Very good.
And
Yeah,
if
go
I
ahead,
could just
please.
weigh in. So going back to the FTC's 2012 privacy report, it talks about the importance of it being context-specific. So if I'm sharing my location with the traffic app, I certainly understand that it knows where I am to route me around the traffic jams. But we have to understand that the consumer may not expect that that data will be used in other ways. So example, we brought an enforcement action in a case called Golden Shores, which was about a flashlight app, and it worked fine as a flashlight, but the consumers didn't know that it was also collecting their real-time location data and sharing that with marketers. So I think that is an important thing, is the context. Is the information being used in the way the consumer expects to get the service, or is it being shared, their sensitive data, being shared in some way that they don't anticipate? And I think that's where enforcement and guidance and policy concerns need to focus.
All right, I have a couple more questions, but I'll submit them for the record. I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very
I'll move
much.
back.
The gentleman's time has